The unexpected CHALLENGER. The Krill Arena floated in the void between the twin suns of the Vexari system, a massive titanium and quantum glass coliseum that housed the most prestigious combat tournament in the known galaxy. 64 species from across 7 spiral arms sent their champions to compete for glory, resources, and the coveted diplomatic advantages that came with victory. The arena itself was a marvel of engineering, capable of simulating any environment from vacuum to liquid methane oceans, challenging combatants not just against each other, but against the very elements themselves. Vox Neragath, the tournament director, gazed out from his control room at the arriving ships. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he tracked the vessels on his neural display. All the usual contenders this cycle, he rumbled to his assistant, a willowy friction named Litha. The Karak Hive has sent their new brood champion. The Volkrish Empire shipped in something nasty in a containment pod. Nothing surprising. Litha's translucent fingers danced across her console. Preliminary registration complete for 97% of expected participants. Viewership projections remain stable at 43 billion across connected systems. Vox grunted, his gray skin flushing slightly purple with disappointment. Stable isn't good enough. The High Council expects growth. The hegemony doesn't fund entertainment for charity. He turned his massive frame toward the window again. We need something novel this cycle. A notification chimed softly from Litha's station. She tilted her head, antennae twitching in confusion. Sir, we have an unscheduled arrival. Small craft. Commercial hauler designation. Probably just a vendor, Vox muttered. Direct them to the service docks. That's just it, sir. They're requesting competitor access. The pilot claims to have the entry fee and is invoking the open species clause of the tournament charter. Vox spun around, suddenly interested. Species designation. Human, sir. The control room fell silent. Then Vox began to laugh, a deep, gurgling sound that caused his throat sac to inflate and shimmer with bioluminescent patterns. A human? In the Krill Arena. What madness is this? He composed himself, wiping a drop of oily fluid from his eye ridge. Well, the charter is clear. Any sentient species with the entry fee must be allowed to compete. Dock them and prepare the standard competitor package. Litha hesitated. Sir, our database on humans is limited. They're from a protected development zone in the Sol system. Class 3 gravity world, oxygen brothers, carbon-based. No notable physical advantages. Perfect. Vox's eyes gleamed. This is exactly the novelty we need. A primitive species with delusions of grandeur. The viewership will spike just to watch the slaughter. Prepare a special announcement and alert our broadcasters. This cycle just got interesting. Alex Chen had made some questionable decisions in his 32 years of life, but as he guided his beat-up cargo hauler toward the enormous floating coliseum, he wondered if this might be his worst yet. The Star Rat was a reliable ship, but it looked pathetic next to the gleaming battlecruisers and specialized competition vessels docked around the arena. Alex had spent his last 5 years hauling cargo between the few alien outposts that permitted human traders, earning just enough to keep flying. Before that, he'd served 10 years in Earth's combined special forces, back when humanity thought its biggest threats were other humans. First contact had changed everything. Humanity learned it was a small fish in a very, very big pond. The quarantine zone established around Sol was for their protection, the aliens said. Limited trade, limited technology exchange, limited everything. Earth's governments had accepted these terms with little choice. Alex hadn't. Approaching docking bay 42C, announced Eraya, his ship's eye. I feel compelled to remind you that participating in alien blood sports violates at least 17 Earth regulations. Only if I get caught, Alex replied, guiding the ship into the designated bay. Besides, we're out of options. The Rat needs a new quantum drive, or we're stuck in this sector forever. The entry fee would have covered half the cost of a new drive. And winning the first round will cover the other half, and then some. Alex secured the ship and stood up, stretching his 6-foot frame. If I make it to the third round, we can upgrade the whole nav system. If being the operative word, Araya noted dryly. Alex moved to the cargo hold, where he'd set up a makeshift gym years ago. Nothing fancy, just basic weights, a heavy bag, and an open space for training. He'd maintained his military regimen religiously, not out of vanity but survival instinct. The galaxy wasn't kind to humans who wandered outside their designated zone. He stripped off his shirt, revealing a body marked by scars and combat-hardened muscle. Not bulky like a bodybuilder, but dense and functional. He began his warm-up routine, focusing on his breathing as he moved through the familiar exercises. Run scenario simulations based on the tournament data we downloaded. Running simulations based on publicly available data, your survival probability in the first round is approximately 18.7%. Alex grinned. Better than I expected. A metallic clang interrupted his routine as someone, or something, banged on his airlock. With a sigh, he pulled his shirt back on and went to greet his visitors. The welcoming committee consisted of a towering insectoid being flanked by 2 reptilian guards. Alex recognized the center figure as a Phyrexian, one of the more human-friendly species he'd encountered in his trading. Alexander Chen of Earth. The Phyrexian's translator device rendered her clicks and whistles into stilted English. That's me. I am Litha, Assistant Tournament Director. Your registration has been provisionally accepted pending biometric verification and medical baseline establishment. Her antennae twitched. May I ask why a human wishes to compete in the Krill arena? No member of your species has ever entered. Alex shrugged. I need the money, and I've got the skills. The charter says any sentient with the entry fee can compete. Indeed it does. Litha handed him a tablet-like device. Your competitor package. It contains arena regulations, medical disclosure forms, and a tracking implant that must be subcutaneously inserted before your first match. Tracking implant. Standard procedure. It monitors vital signs and allows medical intervention if necessary. It also prevents competitors from leaving the arena before their elimination is officially processed. Alex took the tablet. When's my first match? Preliminary round begins in 26 standard hours. Your opponent will be randomly selected from the Tier 4 entrance bracket. Litha paused. I should inform you that Tier 4 is our lowest competitive tier, yet the mortality rate still exceeds 30%. Noted. As Litha turned to leave, her translator caught her final whispered comment to the guards. Prepare the medical recovery team. This one won't last 5 minutes. The competitors' lounge buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species prepared for the tournament. Some meditated in isolation chambers, others engaged in last-minute physical conditioning, and a few huddled with their support teams reviewing strategy. Alex sat alone in a corner, methodically checking the basic combat suit he'd been issued. The flexible armor was designed to be compatible with most humanoid physiologies, but it felt bulky in places and too tight in others. Not ideal, but better than fighting in his cargo jumpsuit. You're in the wrong place. Soft skin, rumbled a voice like grinding stones. Alex looked up to see a massive being covered in crystalline growths looming over him. The translator badge on its chest identified it as Kreth, competitor from the Tholian Expanse. Just prepping for my match, Alex replied calmly, continuing his equipment check. Humans don't fight in the arena, Kreth insisted. Humans trade. Humans scurry back to their protected system when things get dangerous. First time for everything. The crystalline being made a sound that might have been laughter. You face Morgtol in the prelims. He will drink your fluids while you still live. With that cheerful prediction, Kreth moved away to rejoin a group of similarly imposing competitors, all of whom cast occasional glances at Alex, followed by what he assumed was alien laughter. Don't mind them, came a melodic voice from his right. They mock all newcomers. The speaker was roughly humanoid, but with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. Each hand had 3 long fingers ending in short talons. The being's face featured large, pupilless silver eyes and no visible nose, just small breathing slits. "I am Zephyr," she introduced herself, formerly of the Azurian Collective. "Alex Chen, Earth." "I know what a human is," Zephyr replied with what might have been a smile. "I studied cynoanthropology before." She gestured at the arena around them. "Before circumstances led me here." "What's the deal with my opponent?" "Mordvol." Zephyr's expression darkened. "Volshuk breeding male. 8 feet tall, enhanced musculature, redundant organ systems. Favors close combat where he can use his superior strength and feeding proboscis." Feeding proboscis. They extract nutrients directly from their prey. In the wild, they paralyze victims first. In the arena, she trailed off. "Great," Alex muttered. "Any weaknesses?" "Poor vision in standard lighting, slow to change direction due to mass, easily frustrated by evasive opponents." She tilted her head. "Why are you here, human? This is no place for your kind." Alex met her gaze steadily. "Maybe that's exactly why I'm here." Before Zephyr could respond, a chime sounded throughout the lounge, and a holographic bracket appeared in the center of the room. The preliminary matches were set to begin in 1 hour. "Competitors, prepare for transit to your designated arenas," announced a disembodied voice. "Environmental parameters for each match have been finalized. Weapons selection will commence in 10 minutes. Zephyr stood. "Good fortune, human. Perhaps we will speak again, if you survive." As she walked away, Alex noticed the other competitors giving her a wide berth, despite her relatively smaller stature compared to many of them. Interesting. He had little time to ponder this as a medical technician approached with the tracking implant. After a quick, painful insertion at the base of his neck, Alex was directed to the weapons selection chamber, a vast room lined with combat implements from across the galaxy. Most were obviously designed for beings with different physiologies, too heavy, too large, or requiring more limbs than he possessed. He settled on a carbon polymer staff and a set of throwing blades that reminded him of his combat knives from CSF training. "Human competitor Chen, report to Arena 12 for preliminary match," came the announcement. As Alex made his way through the labyrinthine corridors of the facility, the reality of his situation began to sink in. He'd fought pirates, smugglers, and the occasional hostile local in his years as a trader, but nothing like what awaited him now. A professionally trained killing machine from a species evolved for combat. He took a deep breath as he reached the final door. The entry fee had depleted his accounts. There was no backing out now. Either he won, or the Star Rat would become salvage for the arena staff after his death. The door slid open, revealing a simulated forest environment. Massive trees with purple foliage stretched toward an artificial sky. The ground was covered in thick undergrowth, and the air hung heavy with moisture. In the red sector, Challenger Morg Thul of the Volshuk brood, announced a booming voice. From the opposite side of the arena emerged a hulking figure easily 8 feet tall. Its gray, leathery skin was covered in bony plates, and its 4 eyes scanned the environment hungrily. A series of clicking sounds emerged from its jaw area as it spotted Alex. In the blue sector, Challenger Alexander Chen of Earth. A murmur ran through the spectator galleries. Most had never seen a human before, and by their reactions, they were deeply unimpressed. "Combatants, you may begin when the signal sounds. Victory is achieved through surrender or incapacitation of your opponent." Alex gripped his staff tightly, settling into a defensive stance. The announcer hadn't mentioned death as a victory condition, but from the way Morg Thul was eyeing him, that distinction might be lost on his opponent. A loud tone echoed through the arena, and Morg Thul immediately charged forward, covering ground with astonishing speed for a creature of its size. It bellowed a challenge that needed no translation. Alex waited until the last possible moment before dodging sideways, using the creature's momentum against it. As Morghull crashed through the spot where Alex had stood, he struck out with his staff, connecting solidly with the back of the alien's knee joint. Morghull stumbled but didn't fall. It turned, eyes narrowing, and made a series of rapid clicking sounds that Alex's translator rendered as, "You move well for prey." "I'm not prey," Alex replied, already circling to keep distance between them. "All humans are prey." Morghull charged again, but this time feinted at the last moment, anticipating Alex's dodge. A massive arm caught him across the chest, sending him flying into a tree trunk. The impact knocked the wind from his lungs, and he barely rolled away in time to avoid a follow-up attack that splintered the tree where his head had been. The crowd roared its approval as Alex scrambled to his feet. His ribs screamed in protest, but nothing felt broken. He'd lost his staff in the impact, leaving him with only the throwing blades. Morghull advanced more cautiously now, sensing that Alex wouldn't be as easy to kill as anticipated. It circled, using its superior reach to keep Alex on the defensive. "The little human runs," it taunted. "No place to hide in the arena." Alex's mind raced. Direct confrontation was suicide. He needed to use the environment. As Morghull lunged again, Alex ducked under a sweeping arm and slashed at the alien's side with one of his blades. The weapon barely penetrated the tough hide, but it drew first blood, a greenish ichor that smelled of ammonia. Morghull roared in anger and pain, suddenly much less interested in toying with its prey. It unleashed a flurry of attacks that Alex could barely evade, each one coming closer than the last to ending the match and his life. In the control room, Vox and Litha watched the contest with growing interest. "The human is lasting longer than expected," Litha noted. "Yes," Vox agreed, eyes fixed on the display. "But he can't win. He's merely postponing the inevitable." Down in the arena, Alex was reaching the same conclusion. He was tiring, while Morghull seemed barely winded. Time for a desperate gamble. He allowed himself to stumble, presenting the appearance of exhaustion. Morghull took the bait, rushing forward for a killing blow. At the last possible instant, Alex dropped flat to the ground. The alien's momentum carried it forward, and Alex thrust upward with all his strength, driving his remaining blade into the unarmored underside of Morghull's jaw. The creature reared back, greenish blood spraying from the wound. Its feeding proboscis extended reflexively, seeking to drain the energy it was now rapidly losing. But the damage was severe, and its movements became uncoordinated. Alex didn't waste the opportunity. He retrieved his staff and struck a precise blow to the back of Morghull's head, targeting the neural cluster that Zephyr had subtly indicated was a Volshak weakness during their conversation. Morghull crashed to the ground, still alive but unable to continue fighting. The arena fell silent. Then, from somewhere in the upper tiers, a single spectator began to applaud. Others joined, until the sound swelled to fill the massive space. "Impossible," Vox whispered, watching the human stand victorious over his opponent. In the arena, Alex raised his staff above his head, turning slowly to acknowledge the crowd. He had no illusions about what he'd accomplished. This was just the first match of many, and each would be harder than the last. But as he walked from the arena, he heard the announcer's voice boom overhead. "Alexander Chen of Earth advances to the next round." And for the first time since entering the tournament, Alex allowed himself a genuine smile. Maybe, just maybe, this hadn't been his worst decision after all. Rising through the rank case, word of the human's victory spread through the Krill arena faster than quantum comms. Viewership for the tournament jumped 12% overnight, with particular interest coming from systems that had previously dismissed the competition as predictable. Vox Narragath could hardly contain his delight as he reviewed the numbers with his staff. "The gambling syndicates are in chaos," reported his financial officer, a six-armed Quilleri whose skin shifted through shades of green with excitement. The odds against the human surviving even one match were astronomical. Several major houses took significant losses. "And our take?" Vox inquired, already knowing the answer. Up 38%. The hegemony representatives are pleased. Vox's primary eyes blinked slowly in satisfaction, while his secondary pair remained fixed on the holographic display showing Alex Chen's upcoming match. Ensure our broadcasting drones capture every moment of his next fight. I want multiple angles, emotional close-ups, the works. Litha stepped forward, her willowy frame tense. Sir, there's something unusual about the human's combat patterns. The analytics division noted several inconsistencies. Explain. His techniques incorporate at least 14 distinct combat styles from various species, including some classified military maneuvers from the Azurian Special Forces and Tholian shock troops. Vox waved a dismissive hand. Impossible. Humans are quarantined in their home system with limited interspecies contact. Nevertheless, the pattern recognition is conclusive. Litha's antennae twitched nervously. There's more. I've been reviewing his registration documents. The quantum signature of his entry fee payment traces back through 7 shell companies to a source that appears to be diplomatic in nature. For the first time, Vox's smugness faltered. You believe he's an agent. Working for whom? Unknown. But his presence here cannot be accidental. Vox considered this information, his skin darkening to a contemplative purple. Increase security around his quarters. Monitor all communications. If he's more than a lucky fool, I want to know his true purpose before his next match. Alex winced as the medical drone sealed the last of his wounds with synthetic skin. The creature's claws had cut deeper than he'd initially realized, and without prompt treatment, the bacterial agents on those talons might have caused serious infection. Combat damage repaired to acceptable standards, the drone announced, retracting its medical appendages. Competitor functionality restored to 92.4%. Thanks, Alex muttered, knowing the machine neither needed nor registered gratitude. He rolled his shoulder experimentally, feeling the tightness of the newly sealed tissue. The door to the medical bay slid open, and Zephyr entered, her silver eyes quickly assessing his condition. You survived, she stated, 4 arms crossed in what appeared to be casual posture, though Alex noted how she positioned herself to block the surveillance drone's primary lens. Barely. Alex kept his voice casual. My opponent was everything you said he'd be. And yet, somehow, you knew exactly where to strike. Her head tilted slightly. Most newcomers don't understand Volshik physiology so intimately. Alex met her gaze steadily. I got lucky. Perhaps. She moved closer, lowering her voice. Your next opponent will be Graxful of the Dominion Swarm. Cybernetically enhanced. Thermal vision. Acid secretions that can melt through standard armor in seconds. Sounds delightful. The arena for that match will be a high-gravity, low-oxygen environment. Conditions that favor his species over yours. Alex raised an eyebrow. Should you be telling me this? Probably not. Something like amusement flickered across her alien features. But humans interest me, especially humans who fight like they've been trained by Azurian combat masters. Before Alex could respond, the medical bay's communication panel chimed. Competitor Chen, report to the tournament director's office immediately. Zephyr stepped back. It seems your popularity has attracted attention. Be careful, human. Vox Neragath didn't become tournament director through his administrative skills alone. As she slipped out, Alex quickly dressed in the standard competitor attire, a form-fitting bodysuit designed to interface with arena armor. His mind raced. If the tournament administration was already suspicious, his mission timeline would need acceleration. Eraya. He subvocalized, activating the neural link to his ship's eye. Status update. The response came through the microscopic implant nestled against his inner ear. Data collection progressing at 64% of optimal rate. Current estimate for complete package, 38 hours. Too long. His cover might not hold that long. Prioritize security protocols and competitor biometrics. We can fill in the gaps later. Acknowledged. Warning. Increased monitoring detected around your assigned quarters. Surveillance drones have been upgraded to military grade. Understood. Maintain silent running. Alex composed himself and headed for the director's office, navigating the massive station's corridors with deliberate confidence. Other competitors gave him a wide berth now, not out of respect, but wariness. The unknown quantity had proven dangerous. Vox's office occupied prime real estate in the arena's upper levels, with a panoramic view of the competition spaces below. The tournament director sat behind a desk fashioned from what appeared to be polished bone, his massive frame making the substantial furniture seem almost delicate. Ah, the human sensation. Vox greeted him with artificial warmth. Please, sit. Alex took the offered seat, noting the subtle restraint fields humming at its base. If activated, they would immobilize him instantly. Congratulations on your victory, Vox continued. Most impressive for a species with such limited natural advantages. We make do. Indeed you do. Vox's secondary eyes narrowed slightly. Tell me, how does a simple cargo hauler from Earth come to possess such remarkable combat skills? Alex had prepared for this. Earth's gravity is 1.2 times standard. We evolved strong for our size. And I was military before trading. Special forces. Human special forces, Vox repeated, making it sound almost comical. Yet your techniques suggest familiarity with non-human combat methods. I watch a lot of arena broadcasts, Alex shrugged. Good way to learn what works. How fascinating. Vox leaned forward. And your sudden interest in competing. The entry fee represents a significant investment for someone of your economic status. I need the prize money. My ship requires repairs. Of course. Vox settled back. Well, regardless of your motivations, you've become quite popular with our audience. The mysterious human underdog. The viewership numbers are most impressive. Glad to help. Yes, I'm sure you are. Vox's skin rippled with barely concealed suspicion. Rest well, competitor Chen. Your next match has been moved forward. You'll face Graxthal tomorrow at the primary cycle. The arena conditions will be challenging for your species. A clear threat. Looking forward to it. As Alex left the office, he knew his window was closing. Vox's suspicions might not be specific yet, but they were growing. The accelerated match schedule was designed to eliminate him before he could accomplish whatever the director thought he was planning. Back in his quarters, Alex initiated a Level 3 security sweep, detecting and neutralizing 2 new surveillance devices that hadn't been there earlier. Once relatively certain he had privacy, he accessed the hidden compartment in his competition gear, where he kept a quantum-encrypted communicator. Operative Chen. Check-in code Alpha 7 Delta. He vocalized into the device. After a brief pause, a calm voice responded. Acknowledged, Operative. Status report. Cover potentially compromised. Mission timeline accelerated. Request extraction contingency preparation. Negative, Operative. Primary objective remains priority. The Alliance needs that data. Complete your mission. Alex grimaced. Understood. Chen out. He destroyed the communicator as protocol demanded, then lay on his bunk, appearing to rest while his mind worked furiously through scenarios. The Galactic Security Alliance had spent years trying to penetrate the Krill Arena's operations, suspecting it was more than a simple blood sport. Intelligence suggested the hegemony was using the tournament to identify and recruit the most effective killers across known space for some larger purpose. His mission: compete long enough to access restricted data, then extract with proof of the hegemony's plans. Simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The door slid open to reveal Zephyr, now dressed in the dark uniform of arena security. You're in danger, she said without preamble. Vox has ordered your next match to be a termination, not a competition. Alex sat up slowly. Why tell me this? Zephyr's silver eyes darkened. Because I recognize GSA training techniques when I see them, and because I've been waiting 3 years for someone to finally investigate this place. The primary arena hummed with anticipation as spectators filled every tire. Viewership had reached unprecedented levels, with feeds broadcasting to over 200 systems. The mysterious human had become an overnight sensation, and rumors of his impending doom had only heightened interest. In the preparation chamber, Alex secured the last piece of his modified armor. With Zephyr's help, he'd made critical adjustments to compensate for the high-gravity environment and incorporated acid-resistant plating salvaged from maintenance droids. Graxthal will target your respiratory system first, Zephyr explained, adjusting the specialized breather unit she procured. The arena atmosphere will be thinned by your standards, approximately 12% oxygen. This will provide supplementation without being obvious. And the acid. The plating will buy you perhaps 30 seconds of direct contact before failing. Make them count. Alex nodded, testing his range of motion in the modified gear. Why are you helping me? Zephyr's forehand stilled. I was Azurian intelligence before the hegemony annexed our central worlds. They used the arena to identify our best warriors, then repurposed them. My bondmate was among them. Her voice hardened. Whatever you're here to discover, I want it exposed. And if I'm just a desperate cargo hauler looking for prize money, her lip membranes twitched in what might have been a smile. Then you're the most unconvincing cargo hauler I've ever met. A chime sounded, signaling 5 minutes until the match. Zephyr handed him a small device no larger than a fingernail. Place this on your opponent's neural cluster if you can. It will temporarily disrupt his cybernetic enhancements. Alex accepted the device, concealing it in a compartment on his gauntlet. If I win this, I'll need access to the competitor database. Win first, she replied simply, then slipped away as the preparation chamber doors began to open. The arena that awaited him was drastically different from the forest environment of his first match. A barren, rocky landscape stretched before him, with jagged formations providing limited cover. The gravity immediately pressed down, making each movement require deliberate effort. His modified armor compensated somewhat, but he would tire quickly if the fight dragged on. Across the arena, a door slid open to reveal his opponent. Graxthal was a nightmare of evolution and technology merge. A 6-limbed insectoid being with glowing implants visible beneath chitinous armor. Tubes and conduits pulsed with luminescent fluid, and its compound eyes tracked Alex with predatory precision. In the red sector, the announcer's voice boomed, the pride of the Dominion swarm, with 27 arena victories and 14 confirmed kills, Graxthal the Augmented. The crowd roared its approval as the massive insectoid raised its primary limbs, which terminated in serrated blades that gleamed under the arena lights. In the blue sector, the surprise sensation from the primitive world Earth, with one improbable victory, Alexander Chen. The reaction was mixed. Cheers mingled with jeers and the alien equivalent of laughter. Few expected him to survive this match, which was precisely what Vox was counting on. Competitors, prepare for combat. Alex settled into a defensive stance, conserving energy while he assessed his opponent. Graxthal seemed in no hurry, mandibles clicking in what the translator rendered as amusement. The soft one should have died in the preliminaries, it chittered. A mistake I will correct. The starting tone sounded, but neither combatant rushed forward. They circled warily, each assessing the other under the high gravity. We've analyzed your previous match, Graxthal continued. Your tactics are predictable. Your species relies on deception rather than strength. Maybe, Alex replied, gauging distances between the rock formations. Or maybe that's what I want you to think. He feinted forward, then retreated quickly as Graxthal discharged a spray of greenish fluid that sizzled against the rocks where he'd been standing. The acid ate through the stone in seconds, leaving smoking pits. In the control room, Vox watched with narrowed eyes. Something's wrong. The human moves too well in the enhanced gravity. Litha analyzed the readings. His metabolic signature suggests straying, but less than projected. He may have made modifications to his equipment. Impossible. All competitor gear is inspected. Vox's skin darkened with anger. Unless he had help. Increase security in all sections and find that Azurian female. She's been showing too much interest in our human friend. Back in the arena, Alex was discovering that Graxthal's cybernetic enhancements made it formidable even beyond its natural capabilities. Its reaction time was unnaturally fast, and it seemed to anticipate his movements almost before he made them. A slashing limb caught him across the shoulder, the impact sending him sprawling despite the armor's protection. The high gravity made recovery difficult, and he barely rolled away from a follow-up attack that would have pinned him to the ground. The crowd roared its approval as Alex scrambled behind a rock formation, buying precious seconds to catch his breath. His supplemental oxygen was working, but the exertion under increased gravity was taking its toll. Your species lacks the evolutionary advantages for true combat. Graxthal taunted, stalking closer. You should have remained in your quarantine zone, little human. Alex's mind raced. Direct confrontation wasn't working. He needed to change tactics. Maybe, he called back, but we're pretty good at adapting. With that, he charged directly at his opponent, a move so unexpected that even Graxthal's enhanced reflexes hesitated momentarily. Alex ducked under a slashing limb and drove his shoulder into the insectoid's thorax, using the momentum and the high gravity to his advantage. Both combatants crashed to the ground, and Alex immediately rolled away, narrowly avoiding a spray of acid that would have melted his faceplate. But he'd accomplished his goal. The small device Zephyr had given him was now attached to the base of Graxthal's neural cluster. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the insectoid's movements became jerky, its coordination suddenly compromised as its cybernetic enhancements misfired. Mandibles clicked in confusion, as systems that had been integrated into its nervous system for years suddenly provided contradictory inputs. Alex didn't waste the opportunity. He grabbed a jagged rock from the arena floor and struck at the junction between natural chitin and cybernetic plating, a vulnerability he'd noted during their initial exchanges. Greenish ichor sprayed from the wound, and Graxthal emitted a high-pitched screech that the translation software couldn't, or wouldn't, interpret. The creature's remaining functional limbs lashed out wildly, catching Alex across his chest and sending him sprawling. One of his armor plates cracked from the impact, and he felt the burn of acid beginning to eat through the secondary layer. Rolling away, he used the arena's terrain to put distance between them while the disruptor continued its work. In the spectator tiers, the audience had gone from mocking the human to watching in stunned silence. This wasn't supposed to happen. No one defeated a Dominion champion through anything but overwhelming force, certainly not through what appeared to be tactical ingenuity. Graxthal's systems began to compensate for the disruption, its movements becoming more coordinated again. It launched itself forward with surprising speed, closing the distance to Alex before he could fully recover. Blade limbs slashed in a coordinated pattern designed to leave no avenue of escape. Alex waited until the last possible moment, then dropped flat as the high gravity became his ally rather than his enemy. The maneuver caught Graxthal off guard, its momentum carrying it over the prone human. As it passed, Alex thrust upward with his combat staff, striking precisely at the neural disruptor and driving it deeper into the creature's nervous system. The effect was immediate and devastating. Graxthal's cybernetic systems cascaded into total failure, limbs spasming uncontrollably as it crashed to the arena floor. Its mandibles clicked rapidly in what might have been an attempt to surrender, but no coherent sounds emerged. The arena fell silent as Alex rose slowly to his feet, breathing heavily from exertion. He approached his fallen opponent carefully, prepared for a final desperate attack. But Graxthal lay motionless except for occasional cybernetic twitches, effectively incapacitated. After a moment of stunned silence, the arena erupted. What had begun as mockery of a primitive species had transformed into astonished appreciation for a competitor who had defeated two champions through means no one had anticipated. Impossible, Vox whispered in the control room, all four eyes wide with disbelief. This cannot be random chance. The aftermath of Alex's second victory transformed his status in the Krill arena overnight. Competitors who had previously dismissed him now studied his movements from a distance. Support staff who had taken bets on how quickly he would die now offered deferential nods as he passed. More importantly, his security clearance within the arena systems had automatically upgraded to reflect his advancement to the tournament's middle tier. This gave him access to areas previously restricted, though still not enough to complete his mission. The human advances to the quarterfinals. Litha reported stiffly to Vox in his private chambers. The gambling syndicates are in turmoil. Several major houses have suspended all wagers involving him. Vox's skin had darkened to an angry blackish purple. This is no cargo hauler. Launch a deep background investigation. I want to know everything about Alexander Chen, his true identity, his connections, everything. Already initiated, sir. Preliminary results suggest inconsistencies in his documented history. There are gaps. And the Azurian female, missing from her assigned post. Security footage shows her entering restricted maintenance tunnels 3 cycles ago. Vox slammed a massive fist on his desk, cracking the polished bone surface. Find her, and increase security on all sensitive areas. This tournament will not be compromised. In a forgotten maintenance shaft deep within the arena's superstructure, Alex and Zephyr huddled over a portable terminal, racing against time. My access codes will get you into the competitor database, Zephyr explained, her fingers moving rapidly across the interface. But the security protocols update every 6 minutes. We need to be precise. Alex nodded, inserting a data crystal into the terminal's port. ARIA, begin extraction sequence. Acknowledged. His ship's AI responded through the terminal speakers. Estimated completion time: 7 minutes, 42 seconds. Too long, Zephyr warned. Security will detect the unauthorized access in 6 minutes. Then we'll have to be creative. Alex pulled a secondary device from his equipment pouch, a small electromagnetic disruptor designed to create localized system failures. Can you route the security alert through Section 12? Zephyr's silver eyes widened in understanding. Creating a diversion. Yes, I can redirect the alert protocols. Her 4 hands worked in perfect coordination, rerouting system architecture faster than any human could manage. As data streamed from the arena's secure servers to his crystal, Alex studied the information already gathered. This is worse than we thought. The tournament isn't just identifying warriors. It's screening for genetic compatibility. Compatibility with what? Some kind of neural interface technology. The hegemony is building an army of mind-controlled super soldiers, using the arena to find the perfect biological templates. Zephyr's hands stilled momentarily. That explains what happened to the champions who retired to serve the hegemony. They're not serving. They're being repurposed. 4 minutes to completion, Araya announced. Security protocols are adapting, Zephyr warned. They've detected anomalous data patterns. Alex activated the disruptor, sending it skittering down a maintenance tunnel. This should buy us a minute or two. Set it to trigger in 30 seconds. As they waited for the data extraction to complete, a new alert appeared on the terminal. Alex leaned forward, scanning the information with growing concern. They've accelerated the tournament schedule again. My next match isn't tomorrow. It's in 3 hours, against the reigning champion. Zephyr's expression grew grim. Vox is eliminating variables. He suspects something but doesn't know what. The champion hasn't been defeated in 12 cycles. Who am I fighting? Kralthux, she whispered, a note of genuine fear entering her voice for the first time. The Black Colossus. Down the corridor, the disruptor activated, creating a localized power surge that triggered multiple security alerts. Alarms began to sound throughout the maintenance level. Extraction complete, Araya announced. Full data package secured. Alex removed the crystal and secured it in a hidden compartment in his armor. Time to disappear. Too late, Zephyr replied, pointing to the terminal where security teams were already converging on their location from multiple directions. They're closing in. You need to get to your ship. What about you? I'll create another diversion. Her silver eyes met his. Finish this, human. Expose what they're doing here. Before Alex could protest, Zephyr was gone, disappearing into the maze of maintenance tunnels. Seconds later, explosions echoed from the opposite direction, drawing security teams away from his position. Taking advantage of the chaos, Alex made his way toward the competitor quarters. If he could reach his assigned chamber, he might be able to contact ARIA and initialize the extraction protocol they'd prepared. But as he turned a corner, he found his path blocked by a security detail led by Litha herself. Alexander Chen, she announced formally, you are hereby detained for questioning regarding suspected violations of arena regulations and potential espionage. Alex raised his hand slowly, mind racing through options. Seems excessive for a simple rule violation. This is not a negotiation. Litha's antennae twitched with what might have been satisfaction. Director Vox wishes to speak with you personally before your final match. Final match? Alex repeated. Indeed. One way or another, your tournament journey ends today. The champion's preparation chamber was unlike anything Alex had seen in the arena complex, where other competitors made do with utilitarian spaces. This room was opulent, filled with trophies and remembrances of fallen opponents. In the center stood a massive being unlike any species Alex had encountered. Kralthux, the black colossus, stood nearly 12 feet tall, its body a seamless integration of multiple species' evolutionary advantages. Armored plating covered rippling musculature. Multiple limbs ended in weapons both natural and artificial. Its face, if the collection of sensory organs could be called that, was expressionless as it studied Alex. The human anomaly, it rumbled, its voice processed through multiple vocal systems simultaneously. You have caused quite the disturbance in our ordered proceedings. Alex maintained a respectful distance, acutely aware that he was unarmed while the champion had enough natural weaponry to equip a small army. Not intentionally. I'm just here to compete. Lies do not become warriors, Kralthux replied. But they are expected from spies. Before Alex could respond, the chamber door opened to admit Vox Neriev, flanked by security drones. The tournament director's skin was nearly black with rage. Your deception ends here. Alexander Chen, if that is even your name. Vox gestured, and a holographic display activated, showing Alex's service record from Earth's Combined Special Forces. Operative Chen, Special Reconnaissance Division, officially listed as killed in action 3 years ago. Except here you are, very much alive, and infiltrating my arena. Alex maintained a neutral expression. I'm flattered by your interest in my background. Your companion has been captured, Vox continued. The Azurian trader is being processed as we speak. Whatever data you stole will be recovered. A cold feeling settled in Alex's stomach. Zephyr had sacrificed herself to give him a chance. If they'd captured her, the mission was in serious jeopardy. You face a choice, human, Vox said, his tone suddenly businesslike. Surrender the data you've stolen and face a quick execution, or enter the arena against our champion and die for the entertainment of billions. Either way, the hegemony's secrets remain secure. Alex glanced at Kralthux, who watched the exchange with predatory stillness. The champion was clearly not just a tournament fighter, but a finished product of the very program Alex had uncovered. A genetically enhanced super soldier whose mind was no longer entirely its own. I'll take the arena, Alex replied evenly. Seems more sporting. Vox's mouth parts twisted in what might have been a smile. As expected, humans never choose the sensible option. He turned to leave. Prepare him for combat. The final match begins in 30 minutes. As the security drones escorted Alex to the preparation area, his mind worked furiously. The data crystal was still hidden in his armor, which had been confiscated when he was captured. If he could somehow recover it before the match. He sub-vocalized through his neural link, hoping the microscopic transmitter hadn't been detected. Extraction Protocol Alpha. Initiate on my signal. There was no response, but he hadn't expected one. If his ship's AI had received the command, she would be preparing for the most dangerous phase of the mission. If not, he was walking into certain death with no backup plan. The arena awaited. The main coliseum of the Krill Arena was packed beyond capacity. Viewership had reached levels unprecedented in tournament history, with over 80 billion sentient beings across the galaxy tuned in to watch what was being billed as the greatest mismatch in competitive history. The upstart human against the undefeated champion. Alex stood in the blue sector entry tunnel, now dressed in standard arena armor that provided minimal protection against what awaited him. His confiscated equipment and weapons had been replaced with a simple combat staff and a ceremonial blade that was more symbolic than practical. And now, the announcer's voice boomed throughout the massive space, the moment you've all been waiting for. The final match of this extraordinary tournament cycle. The crowd roared its approval as holographic displays activated throughout the arena, showing highlights from Alex's previous matches alongside Kral Fux's long history of brutally efficient victories. Entering from the red sector, the undisputed champion of the Krill Arena for 12 consecutive cycles, with 137 victories and 0 defeats, Kral Fux, the Black Colossus. The opposite entry tunnel illuminated as the massive champion strode forth, its integrated weapon systems already humming with power. The crowd's reaction was reverent, almost worshipful. And from the blue sector, the surprise sensation who defied all odds to reach the finals. Alexander Chen of Earth. Alex stepped into the arena, greeted by a mixture of cheers, jeers, and curious murmurs. Few believed he had any chance of victory, but his unexpected journey had earned him a measure of respect, even from those who had initially mocked his species. The arena itself had been configured as a neutral battleground, a circular field with no cover or environmental hazards. This was tradition for the final match, ensuring that victory would come through skill and strength alone, with no advantage given to either combatant. In the control room, Vox watched with barely contained anticipation. Status of the security sweep. Complete, Director, Litha reported. No unauthorized transmissions detected. The human ship remains secured in Docking Bay 42C under heavy guard. And the Azurian female. Being processed for interrogation. Initial scans suggest she may have been part of a larger network of operatives. Vox nodded, satisfied that his tournament and the hegemony's secrets remained secure. Begin the match. Down in the arena, Alex and Kral Fux faced each other across the circular field. The champion's multiple eyes studied him with cold calculation, assessing weaknesses and planning efficient termination. You have caused much disruption, human, Kral Fux stated, its voice carrying easily across the space between them. Your death will restore order. Maybe, Alex replied. Or maybe it's time for a change in the established order. The starting tone sounded, but neither combatant immediately attacked. They circled warily, each assessing the other's movements and posture. Kral Fux struck first, one of its auxiliary limbs extending with blinding speed to test Alex's defenses. The attack was almost casual, yet would have impaled a less prepared opponent. Alex deflected it with his staff, the impact numbing his arms despite his perfect technique. Impressive reflexes, the champion acknowledged, but ultimately futile. The next series of attacks came in rapid succession, forcing Alex into a defensive retreat as he parried and dodged with every ounce of his training and experience. Each impact was like blocking a vehicle crash, and he knew he couldn't maintain this pace for long. In the spectator tiers, even those who had come to mock the human fell silent. impressed by his ability to survive against an opponent that outmatched him in every physical category. What he lacked in raw power and natural weapons, he compensated for with speed, precision, and an uncanny ability to predict Kralfux's attack patterns. His neural patterns are unusual, Litha noted, studying the biometric readouts in the control room. He's operating at peak human efficiency, but there's something else. Vox leaned forward, eyes narrowing. What are you suggesting? His reaction time exceeds normal human parameters by 23%. It's almost as if. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the control center. Unauthorized access detected in docking bay 42C. The human's vessel is powering up. Vox slammed a fist down. Shut it down. Lock all docking clamps. Down in the arena, Alex heard the distant alarm and allowed himself a small smile. Araya had received his command after all. Now he just needed to survive long enough for the next phase. Kralfux pressed its advantage, driving Alex back with a relentless series of attacks that became increasingly difficult to counter. A glancing blow shattered part of his armor, and another caught him across the leg, opening a deep gash that immediately began to bleed. The crowd sensed the tide turning, their excitement building as the inevitable conclusion approached. The human had fought well, better than anyone expected, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. You have earned an honorable death, Kralfux announced, its weapon systems charging for a killing blow. Few can claim as much. Alex backed away, his injured leg threatening to buckle. I'm not interested in dying today, honorably or otherwise. The champion advanced methodically, confident in its overwhelming advantage. Then you will be disappointed, human. Your species has always been notable for its stubborn refusal to accept reality. Actually, Alex replied, a sudden gleam in his eye, we're more notable for changing reality when it doesn't suit us. At that precise moment, a tremendous explosion rocked the arena station. The lights flickered, and the gravity generators momentarily faltered. Emergency sirens joined the security alarms in a cacophony of warning sounds. Director. Litha's panicked voice filled the control room. The human vessel has broken free. It's targeting the arena's primary power couplings. Vox stared in disbelief at the security feeds showing the Star Rat, supposedly a simple cargo hauler, executing combat maneuvers that would challenge a military vessel. That's impossible. No trading ship has those capabilities. In the moment of distraction caused by the explosion, Alex made his move. Instead of retreating further from Kralfux, he charged directly at the champion, ducking under a startled defensive swing and driving his ceremonial blade into a junction between the being's integrated systems. The blade, which any security scan would have identified as standard tournament issue, suddenly glowed with energy as its true nature activated. Nanites designed to target and disrupt the neural interface technology at the heart of the Hegemony's program poured into Kralfux's systems. The champion froze, its multiple limbs suddenly uncoordinated as the carefully maintained neural connections began to break down. For the first time, in 12 tournament cycles, confusion and then something like awareness flickered across its features. What have you done? It managed, its voice distorting as the integrated vocal systems failed. Freed you, Alex replied, already moving toward the arena exit. And everyone like you. The tournament's security systems were in chaos. The Star Rat, under Araya's control, continued its precisely calculated attack run, disabling systems without causing catastrophic damage to the station itself. In the confusion, holding cells opened, including the one containing Zephyr. Alex limped through service corridors, following the escape route they had planned months before this mission began. His injured leg left a trail of blood, but he pushed through the pain, knowing that seconds mattered now. He rounded a corner and nearly collided with Zephyr, who had a stolen security weapon trained on something behind him. Move, she shouted, firing over his shoulder at pursuing security drones. Together, they'd fought their way to emergency escape pod bay, dispatching security personnel and drones with practiced efficiency. The data crystal containing evidence of the hegemony's program was secure, and ARIA had already transmitted copies to GSA headquarters as insurance. Escape pod launch protocols are locked down, Zephyr reported, checking the base terminal. Not for long, Alex replied, activating his neural link. ARIA, execute final phase. Throughout the station, systems began to malfunction in specific patterns, creating a cascade of failures that overwhelmed the security lockdowns. Escape pod bays suddenly registered as open for emergency use. How did you manage that? Zephyr asked as they secured themselves in a pod. ARI has been infiltrating their systems since we arrived, Alex explained, initiating the launch sequence. The tournament broadcasts created the perfect cover for data transmission. We've been building backdoors into every system for days. The escape pod blasted free from the station, just as Vox Neragath's furious voice echoed through the remaining functional communication systems. Find them. I want the human and the traitor found. But it was too late. The pod rendezvoused with the star rat at the predetermined coordinates, and moments later, they jumped to faster-than-light travel, disappearing from the Krill Arena sensors. 3 months later, the recording of Alexander Chen's tournament matches had become the most viewed content in Galactic history. The subsequent revelation of the hegemony's forced neural integration program had sparked outrage across multiple systems, leading to sanctions and the eventual dismantling of the Krill Arena. Vox Neragath had disappeared before authorities could arrest him, but his financial accounts had been frozen, and bounty hunters across the galaxy searched for the former tournament director. In a quiet corner of neutral space, aboard a ship that no longer resembled the humble cargo hauler known as the Star Rat, Alex reviewed the latest intelligence reports with Zephyr. The liberation of the integration facilities is proceeding on schedule, she noted, her silver eyes scanning the data. 83% of the former champions have been successfully disconnected from the neural interface technology. Rehabilitation continues for those who wish it. And Kralfucks? Alex asked. Recovering. The psychological trauma of forced integration was severe, but the medical team is optimistic. He's asked to meet you when you're ready. Alex nodded, absently rubbing the scar on his leg from their battle. I'd like that. Zephyr studied him with unreadable alien eyes. The Galactic Security Alliance has offered you a promotion. Director of Special Operations. I saw the communication. Alex leaned back in his chair. I haven't decided yet. What's to decide? You'd have resources, authority, the ability to prevent future threats like the integration program. True. Alex smiled slightly. But there's something to be said for being underestimated. The human who entered the arena as a joke accomplished more than any official diplomatic mission could have. Zephyr made a sound that might have been laughter. The legend of the human champion continues to spread. They say your name is now used to frighten misbehaving hegemony officials. Probably an exaggeration. Perhaps. She rose gracefully. But legends serve their purpose, especially in a galaxy that too often dismisses your species as primitive newcomers. As Zephyr left the cabin, Alex turned to the view screen showing the vast expanse of stars beyond their ship. Humanity's quarantine zone had been officially lifted following the Krill Arena revelations, with new trade and diplomatic agreements being negotiated across dozens of systems. All because one supposedly weak human had entered a tournament where he didn't belong and refused to accept the role others had assigned him. Ready navigation calculations for Earth, he instructed ARIA. It's time to go home and deliver the good news in person. Course plotted, the AI responded. Estimated arrival, 3 standard days. As the ship accelerated toward Earth, the legend of Alexander Chen, the human who entered the arena as a joke and left as a legend, continued to spread across the stars, forever changing how the galaxy viewed the resilient species from Sol.